There's a reason some women always seem to attract the best men, the kind who are emotionally available, loyal, intentional, and genuinely invested. And no, it's not luck, it's not looks, and it's definitely not about playing hard to get. Here's the truth. High-value women don't chase, they attract. And the difference between a woman who constantly settles and a woman who effortlessly commands high-quality love comes down to just a few simple but life-altering habits. This video isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about stepping into the version of you that already exists. The version that knows she deserves more, expects more, and gets more. And if you've ever felt like you're too much, not enough, or just constantly giving more than you get, this is your moment to flip the script. Because when you understand the psychology and energy behind truly high-value behavior, you stop attracting men who waste your time and start calling in men who value it. So stay with me, because over the next few minutes, I'm breaking down the 4 core habits of women who never have to beg for love, chase affection, or question their worth. If you're ready to shift your energy and attract the best men, not the bare minimum, you're exactly where you need to be. Let's dive in. Habit number 1, and this is foundational, is that she knows her worth, not just in theory, not just when things are going well, but consistently. A woman who always gets the best men doesn't wait for outside validation to define her value. She doesn't need a man to tell her she's beautiful to believe it. And she doesn't cling to someone just to feel wanted. Why? Because she already feels whole within herself. Her self-worth is rooted in who she is, not in who chooses her. This kind of woman has standards, not because she's picky or playing games, but because she respects herself too much to settle for anything less. She doesn't tolerate mixed signals, emotional unavailability, or disrespect disguised as just how men are. And here's the twist. This doesn't make her intimidating. It makes her magnetic. High-quality men are naturally drawn to a woman who knows what she brings to the table and doesn't apologize for it. She's not afraid to walk away. That's one of the strongest indicators of self-worth, the willingness to leave anything that doesn't align with your value. Whether it's a guy who's inconsistent, a situationship going nowhere, or someone who treats her like an option. She doesn't chase, she replaces, not out of bitterness, but from a place of clarity. She'd rather be single than be in a relationship that costs her peace. Knowing her worth also means she invests in herself, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. She takes care of her body, her mindset, and her goals. She doesn't shrink herself to be more palatable or delay her dreams for the sake of a relationship. The best men aren't looking for someone who needs to be saved. They're looking for someone who can stand beside them, confident in her part. What really separates her from the crowd is how she responds to poor behavior. She doesn't argue to prove her point. She doesn't beg for attention or over-explain her boundaries. She simply removes access. Her energy is precious, and she treats it that way. And that silent strength, that unshakable calm, is what keeps high-quality men coming back, because they can sense it. This woman values herself so deeply that being with her is a privilege, not a guarantee. When she communicates, it's with confidence. When she dates, it's with discernment. And when she loves, it's from overflow, not from lack. She's not afraid of being alone, because being alone isn't lonely when you genuinely enjoy who you are. That kind of inner security doesn't just change how men see her, it changes what she attracts entirely. So, if you want to start getting better men, don't start by changing how you look. Start by changing how you see yourself. Because the moment you start treating yourself like you're valuable, the world and the men in it will reflect that belief right back to you. Habit number 2 is one that truly separates women who get caught in emotional roller coasters from those who experience steady, healthy relationships. She's emotionally grounded. That means she knows how to manage her feelings instead of letting them manage her. She's not controlled by temporary emotions, and she doesn't let other people's behavior dictate her self-image or mood. When she's triggered, she pauses. When she's upset, she reflects instead of reacting. That inner calm isn't something she fakes, it's something she's cultivated. An emotionally grounded woman doesn't spiral when a guy pulls back. She doesn't jump to conclusions, assume the worst, or beg for reassurance. She gives things space. She understands that her emotions are messengers, not facts, and that reacting impulsively can often sabotage something that just needed clarity or time. Instead of sending that angry paragraph, she breathes. Instead of obsessively checking her phone, she stays rooted in her reality, not her anxiety. This doesn't mean she suppresses how she feels. On the contrary, she honors her emotions. She just refuses to let them dictate her actions in destructive ways. Emotional grounding is what allows her to respond instead of react. And men notice this. A woman who stays centered when things get tense becomes incredibly attractive because most people, men included, are used to emotional chaos. They're used to blame, drama, and projection. So when a woman shows up with calm, clarity, and grace under pressure, it makes her stand out in a way that words can't explain. This woman doesn't emotionally bleed on others just because she's hurt. She takes responsibility for her own healing. That doesn't mean she never struggles or gets overwhelmed. She just doesn't dump her emotional pain onto the people around her. She knows the difference between venting and emotionally offloading. And when she does share her feelings, she does so with intentionality. Habit number 3 is one that often gets misunderstood. And because of that, most women either avoid it or misuse it. But the women who consistently attract the best men master it. She maintains mystery and boundaries, not to be manipulative or distant, but to protect her value and keep her energy sacred. A high-value woman understands that not everything about her should be accessible right away. She doesn't feel the need to overshare her entire life story on the second date or prove herself to someone she just met. She lets connection unfold naturally, slowly, and with intention. This kind of woman knows that mystery isn't about hiding who you are. It's about pacing emotional intimacy so it has time to grow. She allows a man to be curious, to wonder, to ask questions. She knows that when she reveals herself little by little, it builds depth, intrigue, and lasting interest. Too many women confuse openness with availability, but they're not the same. Being open means you're genuine. Being over-available means you're handing over your time, energy, and vulnerability without discernment. And men feel that when they haven't earned access to your inner world and you offer it anyway, they subconsciously lose respect, not because you're not worthy, but because it wasn't protected. Boundaries are what give mystery its power. A woman with strong boundaries knows where she ends and others begin. She doesn't say yes when she means no. She doesn't sacrifice her values to avoid conflict. She's kind but clear, soft but firm. And she's not afraid to walk away when something feels off. Not as a threat, but as a form of self-honoring. Her boundaries aren't rigid walls, but filtered. They let the right people in and keep the wrong ones out. This woman doesn't over-explain her decisions. If a man asks for too much too soon, she doesn't justify why she's taking her time. She simply does. Her energy isn't frantic. She's not auditioning for love. She's observed. She's listening. She's choosing because she knows that the best men don't need to be convinced. They recognize her worth through her consistency and self-respect. Mystery, she's not broadcasting every detail of her personal life online. She's not giving play-by-plays of her day via text. She's present in her life, which makes her less digitally accessible and more emotionally compelling. The man who wants to know more about her doesn't get that through her Instagram story. He gets it by showing up, asking questions and investing real time. And that effort is what makes the bond meaningful. When she sets boundaries, she does it early and with grace. She doesn't wait until she's resentful. If she doesn't want to rush into physical intimacy, she says so. If she needs time before committing, she communicates it. And she does all of this without fear of being abandoned, because she knows that if someone leaves after she expresses a boundary, they were never truly safe for her to begin with. Maintaining mystery and boundaries is what makes her unforgettable. She leaves men wanting more, not because she's withholding, but because she's intentional. She's not cold or closed off. She's simply not desperate for attention. Her love is a privilege, not a performance. And the right man knows he's lucky to earn access to her world. She trusts that the right connection won't require her to overgive or overexpose. And because of that, she creates space for genuine emotional intimacy to grow. The kind that lasts, the kind that deepens, and the kind that makes a man feel like he's discovered something rare. Habit number 4 is subtle, but it's everything. The kind of woman who consistently attracts the best men doesn't beg, chase, or convince. She inspires. She does not persuade. She knows that the right connection doesn't need pressure or persuasion. It happens naturally through alignment, not performance. Her presence, her energy, her self-respect, those are the things that pull the right kind of man in. And if a man isn't stepping up, she doesn't try to fix, prove, or sell her worth. She simply steps away. This kind of woman lives in such a way that people feel elevated just by being around her. Not because she's trying to be perfect or impressive, but because she's deeply rooted in purpose, joy, and truth. She has passions, goals, and standards. She's not trying to be chosen. She's busy choosing herself every single day. And that quiet confidence is magnetic. It doesn't yell. It doesn't convince. It simply is. When she enters a relationship, she's not trying to mold herself into what she thinks a man wants. She knows that pretending to be someone else just to keep a connection alive will always end in resentment. Instead, she stays true to who she is, her quirks, her values, her opinions, her boundaries, and she lets people decide whether they can meet her there. She's not afraid to be misunderstood because she knows she's not for everyone. And more importantly, she doesn't want to be. The woman who inspires doesn't need to overcompensate. She doesn't feel threatened by other women because she's not in competition. She's in her own way. She uplifts others because she's secure in herself. She's not fighting to prove that she's better. She knows her value isn't something that can be compared. It's unique. It's felt. And the right man doesn't need to be convinced of it. He recognizes it from the spirit. She also understands that influence is more powerful than persuasion. She doesn't try to lecture a man into changing or guilt him into stepping up. Instead, she embodies the kind of energy that naturally calls a man higher. She sets the tone for how she wants to be treated, not with ultimatums, but through her actions. If she's not being respected, she removes herself. If she's not being prioritized, she stops investing. That quiet shift in energy speaks louder than any speech ever could. And when a man sees how she carries herself, how she moves with intention, how she doesn't settle, how she protects her peace, he either rises to meet her or reveals that he can't. Either way, she wins because she's not attached to outcomes. She's attached to alignment. She's not looking for potential. She's looking for partnership. And she knows the difference. This kind of woman becomes unforgettable, not because she forced herself into someone's life, but because she walked in fully herself and gave them the freedom to meet her or miss out. She's not bitter when someone walks away. She knows rejection is just redirection, and that every no clears the path for a better yes. Her power lies in her ability to stay rooted in her truth without needing to defend, argue, or explain it. She shows up, she shines, and she lets go of anything that doesn't reciprocate that energy. That's not just confidence, that's emotional freedom. And it's exactly what makes her irresistible to high-quality men, because she doesn't need to prove her worth. She simply lives. So let's bring it all together. If you're still watching, it's not by accident. Something in you knows you're meant to be more, to experience more, to stop settling for halfway love, for most relationships, for men who don't see the full value of who you are. You're not crazy for wanting more. You're finally waking up to your worth, and that's where everything begins. Becoming that woman, the one who attracts the best men, isn't about becoming someone else. It's about coming home to who you truly are. It's about unlearning the noise, the conditioning, the stories that told you to shrink, to settle, to stay silent just to be chosen. That version of you who questioned her value. She served a purpose, but she's not the one who's going to lead you into your next chapter. The woman you're becoming will. And becoming that woman is not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about knowing that your energy is powerful and choosing to protect it. It's walking into rooms like you belong, not because you're arrogant, but because you finally believe it's true. It's setting boundaries not to push people away, but to protect your peace. It's choosing yourself every single day, even when it's lonely, even when it's hard, even when it would be easier to go back to what's familiar. That woman, she's already inside of you. She's the voice that says, I deserve better. The feeling in your gut when someone treats you like an option. The quiet strength that says, I'm not chasing, I attract. She's not loud, but she's firm. She's not cold, but she doesn't beg. She doesn't settle for breadcrumbs when she knows she brings the whole table. If you want to become her, start small. Start by keeping the promises you make to yourself. Start by not texting him back just because you're bored. Start by asking, does this add to my peace or take from it? Start by choosing silence over arguments, rest over burnout, and self-respect over temporary attention. And remember, you don't have to rush. Growth is not loud. Becoming is not linear. It's moment by moment, choice by choice, standard by standard. And please understand this, the goal isn't just to get a man. It's to become so deeply in tune with who you are that you stop attracting men who need to be convinced and start connecting with men who already see you, who meet you where you are, who feel lucky just to experience your energy. That woman doesn't chase love, she becomes love. She radiates it, she inspires it, she sets the tone. And because of that, the best men respect her, rise for her, and stay with her. So if you've ever felt like you weren't that girl, this is your permission to stop waiting to be her and start stepping into her. No more waiting for the right time. No more dimming your light to fit into someone else's comfort zone. No more shrinking to be like. You don't need to be louder. You don't need to be prettier. You don't need to be more of anything. You just need to be real, be rooted, be intentional, and everything aligned with that version of you will start to show up, including the man who's not just attracted to you, but aligned with you. That woman is you. It starts the moment you decide it.